Hey guys, welcome back to Jessin Reads Romance. I'm Jessin, and today I'm going to be wrapping up all the books that I read during the first week of May. It's not that many because I did have finals for this week, so I didn't have as much time to read, even to listen to audiobooks as I usually do, but I do have quite a few new ones to wrap up, and I'm excited about them. I have 2 arcs that I already knocked off my May TBR, so I'm like, yes. Already feeling ahead of the game. I plan on reading another one of my arcs this weekend, very exciting, and you heard it first, I'm doing a reading vlog. It'll be the first one that I've done in a long time since I got slammed with school, so it's exciting for me. I'm just excited to be doing content other than weekly wrap-ups, but let's start here. The first book I'm going to be wrapping up is Neon Gods by Katee Robert. I've gone on record saying that I don't really love Katee Roberts' books, but I heard from a lot of people who had already read the Neon Gods arc that this was a really great Hades and Persephone retelling, and I love Hades and Persephone retellings, or at least I'm a huge fan of Lore Olympus, which is a webcomic. It will be a book, which I'm excited about that because I will be able to actually review it in book format. So that'll be exciting for me. But I've yet to find a Hades and Persephone romance novel that I really love. I have a few others on my list that I haven't explored yet, but I wanted to give Neon Gods a shot because also Katee Robert is writing this series with source books, and sometimes with indie authors who are kind of hybrids and are publishing with a publishing house and have different editors, I tend to like their books that they're publishing with small pub, big pub, whatever better. So I was like, I'm just gonna give it a shot. Anyway, let's get to reviewing the book. Like I said, this is a Hades and Persephone retelling, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed it. It's hands down the best book that I've read by Katee Roberts. I haven't liked them so far, but I gave this book 4 stars. I thought that it was really unique. When you think of Greek mythology, you mainly think of the Olympian gods like Zeus, Hera, Demeter, Hades, Poseidon, all those gods and goddesses. And in Katee Roberts, I don't think that this series has a title yet, but I know that there's going to be more books coming. Thank you, Jen, for that information. So I do know that there's going to be other books coming for this, but I don't believe that there is a series title yet. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. All of the gods and goddesses have inherited that title. So it's either a hereditary title or you get voted in for the position. Demeter is a position that you get elected to. And Zeus is a position that is inherited. So it's father passed down to son, passed down to grandson, and so on and so forth. So I thought that was really interesting. And then there's kind of an uptown type of thing, which is Olympus, and downtown thing, which is the underworld. And I really liked it, especially since the whole premise for Persephone and Hades' romance and the abduction was very cool. Demeter has 4 daughters. She was elected to the position, and I think she's been Demeter for 12 years now. And one of her daughters, Persephone, she basically offers her up to Zeus, who has a reputation because he's gone through 3 wives. They've all died under mysterious circumstances. It's widely rumored that he murdered all of them. And when Persephone's at a party, her mom basically feeds her to the wolves, and Zeus announces in front of every single person, or proposes to her, and she can't actually say no, but she knows that this is a death sentence, and she's really annoyed with her mom because she's just I thought that I was going to get away from all these politics. I hate this. I only have a few months until I reach my majority and I can have my trust fund and I can get out of Olympus. I don't want to be here. Everything's fake. Everything's paparazzi. Everyone's watching my every move because the Olympians consider them celebrities. So after the announcement, one of her sisters helps her slip out, and some of Zeus's cronies chase Persephone, and she crosses the bridge into the underworld section, and there is this treaty between Hades and Zeus that they can't cross into each other's territory, and if either of them cross into the other's territory, then it means war. The twist is Hades is a hereditary title, and it has died out, or so Persephone thinks, and she's kind of had a minor obsession with Hades. And lo and behold, as soon as she crosses the bridge, she's in bad shape. Her feet are bloody and gross, and she is exhausted being chased by these cronies, and Hades basically makes a claim on her and says, don't step on my land because you know what that means. So they all back off. Persephone is equally kind of annoyed with how Hades is handling her, throwing her over his shoulder so that he can bring her home to get medical attention and she's just like, I want to walk on my own. So she has a bit of bratish behavior, and I think that that's kind of like a hallmark of Katie Robert writing. A lot of her heroines act like brats, and that's part of the appeal of her brand. I personally don't like it, but I was super glad that she doesn't stay bratish for long. She doesn't stay contrary for no reason. There was actually a scene where she was shopping and she was trying on dresses, and the seamstress basically suggested, oh, why don't you wear this? And she was like, you can't tell me what to wear, something like that. And in her head, she's like, I don't even know why I'm arguing. And I'm like, that's some of the problems that I would normally have with Katie Robert heroines, or just characters in general. She grew on me so fast. Hades was great the whole time. I loved him. He has a bit of a history with Zeus, which I won't get into because it plays a huge role in the plot. I really enjoyed seeing Persephone kind of open her eyes up to what has been going on behind the scenes. There's a couple of twists that I kind of really liked. The reason why I took off a star was for some of the behavior that Persephone exhibited in the beginning, and also the end conflict. I saw it coming and stuff, and I knew it kind of needed to happen, but it just wasn't my favorite way to go about it. It was fine. It wasn't great. It was just okay. But overall, I really enjoyed this book, and it's gonna have to go on the top of the list of my favorite Hades and Persephone romance novels. So it's up there, it's up top. I can't wait for the next book in the series. I'm not sure when that's going to come out, and I'm not sure the characters specifically who are going to be the hero and the heroine for the next book, but I do know that at least one of her sisters is going to get a book. Next, I reread The Friend Zone, and this is the second book in Kristen Callahan's Game On series. I read this book a while back, a couple years ago, completely forgot the plot lines to every single book in the series. All I knew about all I remembered was that there was Virgin Hero somewhere in this setup, and I believe it's book 3, if I'm not mistaken. So Gray and Ivy were kind of teased in the hookup, and I was really excited because as soon as I finished the hookup, I kind of started remembering at least how Gray and Ivy met. So Gray needed to lend his truck, which was automatic, to his friend because he injured himself playing football. And so he was offered a car by a prospective agent, and it was like a pink Fiat. So he is driving around this pink Fiat, and he gets a text from this random number, and it is the agent's daughter whose car he is borrowing while she is in London. So her mom is from London. She spent like the last year over there working at the mom's bakery and stuff, and she's coming back. But the romance starts off with them just texting, and they become really good friends, and I absolutely love friends to lovers romances. I got all of the butterflies with Gray and Ivy. I loved their romance so much, and I love the specific moment where she comes back because they've been texting this whole time while she's been in London. Her dad's unable to pick her up. This is a source of conflict for Ivy. She kind of resents her dad being an agent because he's not around a lot, and also because he cheated on her mom. And so she loves sports, but she also resents the fact that priority-wise, she felt like she came after his job, and her sister feels the same way. So when she comes back and nobody is there to pick her up at the airport, I love how Gray kind of like tells off her dad, saying like, so she's at the airport alone, nobody's there to come pick her up? Of course I'll go pick her up. And so he goes there, and the first moment that they actually see each other for the first time, I was just like, spoon. I love that scene so much. It was absolutely great. I love them kind of denying their feelings for each other for a little while. It was like mutual pining, and I love mutual pining where I'm just like, I know it's gonna end well, and it's just taking that first step beyond friends into something more. That's really exciting. It's something that I anticipate when I'm reading Friends to Lovers romance, and I love the way this played out. I'm gonna give this book 4.5 stars. It was absolutely amazing. Rounded up to a 5. So I'm gonna continue rereading the series. Like I said, I feel like I'm experiencing these books for the first time. Next, I read another arc, Kings of Kearney by Nevessa Allen. This was a random request on NetGalley. I am a little bit with my NetGalley request, and I haven't been requesting just like unknown authors, but this book cover, I'm not gonna lie, is a huge part of why I requested this book. And also, I kind of still want to give MC romances a chance. They've never been my favorite. I feel like they all kind of follow a similar Sons of Anarchy setup, Sons of Anarchy plotline, and everything just feels like a repetitive situation in every MC romance that I pick up. There are a few exceptions, which I have enjoyed in the past. So I just kind of took a gamble on Nevessa Allen. Never heard of her before, so this was the first book that I read by Nevessa Allen. And guys, I absolutely love this book. I gave this book 5 stars. It's probably going to be on the podcast. It was just so good. It was just so different. So the heroine, Krista, has moved to this town because, one, there is a nursing home that has like great reviews for her grandmother who has Alzheimer's. And at first, whenever I read it, I was a little bit nervous because I haven't really loved picking up books with characters who have Alzheimer's, because my grandfather passed away last year and he had Alzheimer's. So it's just like one of those things. It's not like a trigger for me, but like I just don't want to think about it. So I was a little bit skeptical. I love the way that their relationship was handled and her grandmother and all that, and it was beautiful. So just letting you guys know, I like that part. And also, Krista is a veteran, so she was in the Army. No, she wasn't in the Army. Oh goodness, what was she in? What branch was she in? Was she in the Navy? I totally forgot. What branch of the military that she was in. But she's a veteran and she is wounded. She has like a huge chunk of her leg that was missing. Her plane crash landed and she had something land on her leg, and it gives her a lot of issues. She took up a position working at the bar, the local bar. And the second reason why they moved to this town was because it is kind of like a safe haven for veterans. A lot of veterans relocate here. There is a motorcycle club that is exclusively for military veterans, and so they have a good VA hospital and like resources there, I do believe. Our hero is a part of the MC, the Kings of Kearney, which is entirely made up of veterans. His name is Jacob and he's an Army vet. And this story is so different from any other that I have ever read before. It still has like that intrigue and that bit of danger and stuff, a bit of acting outside of the law and stuff, but it felt completely different. The dynamics between like the president and the rest of the people, because Jacob's like the enforcer. It was just so different from any other that I read. Krista's on her way home after doing a shift at the bar, and she hears this motorcycle and it's Jacob, and he's basically saying like, pull over. They've really never interacted before, and he tells her that there's something fishy going on at the nursing home that her grandmother's at, and he needs an in because the Kings of Kearney are like banned from going there. There's another local MC that also has a lot of their grandparents in this nursing home, and like there was a confrontation, and so now like motorcycle people are banned from the nursing home. And so he's like, hey, like, we can't talk here, but you need to come to my apartment. We're gonna act like we're hooking up and stuff. And so that's like the start of their relationship. But she thinks he's hot, and it almost instantaneously like turned into like, yeah, this was a ruse to get you to my apartment so that we can talk about what's going on in the nursing home, but also we're both attracted to each other and we really want to bang each other. That's how the relationship starts. It is so very interesting. I loved Krista so much. She's such a badass. There was a bunch of twists and turns, and not in the like the author was trying to like get you, but it was just like it felt so adventurous in the best sort of way, and in a way that previous MCs just haven't like really fulfilled me. So I really enjoyed it. I'm 100% going to be looking into Nevessa Allen's backlist, and I look forward to future books in the Kings of Kearney series. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a series, and her friend who also works at the bar, I hope that she gets a romance. That would be great. I would love it. And then I picked up Duke of Pleasure. I've been listening to the Maiden Lanes series on audio. I needed to finish the last 2 in the series before our live show, which is actually happening tonight. So, well, yesterday by the time this video comes out. But Duke of Pleasure, I love this step back. I love the purple dress. It's just so pretty. Is between the Duke of Kyle. So he is the bastard son of the king. And Hugh is kind of like more of like a Boy Scout character. Kind of works like unofficially as a spy, kind of. It says that he's the king's secret weapon. So he is sort of like an investigator, but unofficially. Like he doesn't work in an official capacity, basically. He works for the king, and if the king wants him to investigate something, he gets on that. The Lords of Chaos plotline is still happening. It was introduced kind of in it was introduced in Sweetest Scoundrel we find out more about it in Duke of Sin. And then so for Duke of Pleasure, Alf is the heroine and she's the female Ghost of St. Giles. So we do have a connection between Alf and Godric. Godric has been training her so that she is equipped to handle herself in St. Giles. And I really love, so Alf has always dressed like a boy ever since she was abandoned whenever she was like 5 years old or 4 years old, and she met someone named Ned who kind of took her under his wing and was just like, it's safer for you to dress as a boy in St. Giles, and kind of taught her how to act like a boy. And she's been running errands for our previous heroes in the books, and her age was always said to be around like 12 or so. But she's actually 21. She's just been pretending to be a very young boy for a long time. And though the plot is Hugh investigating the Lords of Chaos, I really enjoyed this book a lot because I felt like a lot of the focus was on Hugh and him not knowing that Alf is a girl, but also running into the Ghost of St. Giles that he finds out is a woman. Like from chapter 1, I will never forget the beginning of this book, because when he catches the Ghost of St. Giles, whenever it's like chapter 1 in the book, and he goes, tits? It just cracked me up so much. I was listening to it on audio and it just like, yeah, I don't know why. It was really funny to me. So he's kissed this female Ghost of St. Giles quite a few times, but he doesn't know that the Ghost of St. Giles is Alf. So it's just like you're waiting for him to figure it all out because he has had Alf under his roof. He's also a widower. He had a wife and they were very passionate, and he fell in love with like her beauty. They married very quickly, and she had a child, and they were good as long as she was like pregnant, and they bonded over the kids, but they fought too much, and she also took a lot of lovers. And so he left for about like 3 years, and whenever he returned, his children like really didn't even recognize him. I love like single dad romances, and he was such a wonderful dad, and I really liked how his sons are kind of like, they don't have an easy relationship with their father, but that changes throughout the novel, and I really loved it. And I loved Alf's relationship with the boys, and it was just such a great romance. I love this one. And Alf was a badass, so 5 stars. Then we have the final book in the series, Duke of Desire. I really love this step back too because I love yellow dresses, and this dress is so beautiful. And here the hero is Raphael, and we see him introduced in Duke of Pleasure. He has been on the continent for more than a decade, I believe, and he's only returned because his father has recently passed away and he has inherited the dukedom. And he is scarred on his face, and there's a bunch of rumors about how he got this scar. And our heroine, Iris, she meets him at a ball in Duke of Pleasure, and she describes him as like this Hades figure, like this kind of demonic, but beautiful, but beautiful. The book starts off with Iris being kidnapped because they think that Iris married Hugh from the previous book, because they were gonna kind of get married because they were friends, and it was gonna be like kind of a marriage of convenience for friendship's sake, and because she was best friends with Hugh's first wife. So she has a bond with the boys, and they were gonna get married for that sake. But anyway, she gets mistaken for the now wife of Hugh, and the Lords of Chaos kidnap her in the very first chapter, and then they realize that they kidnapped the wrong woman. Raphael is there, and he kind of rescues her, and since he is wounded, he's like, we have to get married, because if they find out that I'm wounded and that you haven't died after tonight, then I'm not gonna be able to protect you. You have to marry me. Raphael's father was involved with the Lords of Chaos, and that's why he is trying to infiltrate them, trying to bring them all down. I have to say, the overall Lords of Chaos plotline is the weakest plotline in Maiden Lanes series. She has a couple smaller story arcs that will continue on with a few books, and the Lords of Chaos one, it is, these men are evil, and it was almost like Elizabeth Hoyt took on a huge task of tackling this really, really evil group with evil intentions. And there were some really horrifying scenes in this book in particular. There was some in Sweetest Scoundrel as well, but this one was just like, it was so much, and I just didn't feel like they were handled in a way. It was almost like Hydra, like you kill one leader and then another one pops out, and I didn't feel satisfied with the closing arc with the Lords of Chaos. Like, I just didn't feel like, I felt like so much more could have been done. So many more people could have been brought in to help out Raphael. I didn't understand his insistence that he needed to be the one to take down this group. There were so many other people that would have been on his side and would have helped him, and it makes more sense since this group is supposedly has like almost like 100 members, if not more. It's like crazy the amount of people that are involved in this cult, just of debauchery. They're sick. They're absolutely sick. I cannot stress enough that they're absolute evil. So I just didn't feel satisfied with that. And I feel like the Lords of Chaos did really hang over Raphael like the entire time. So it just wasn't as enjoyable of a read. So I only gave this book 4 stars. Even though I liked Raphael and Iris, they just were not one of my favorite couples. I didn't enjoy this book near as much as the other one. So yeah, it just was not the best, but I didn't hate it. I wish that we got a little bit more closure with the Lords of Chaos. I didn't like how it wrapped up anyway. And then finally, I reread The Intimacy Experiment by Rosie Dannon for the podcast, and it was the first time that Juliet read it. Guys, I cried. I cried. During a certain scene, it was just so lovely because Ethan is the best cinnamon roll beta hero I've ever read. I love him so much. I cannot stress it enough. And this coming from a girl who really enjoys her alpha males. I do. And I enjoy an alpha male. But Ethan, I cried so many scenes. He is so emotionally available and emotionally intelligent, and the way that he treats Naomi, because Ethan is a rabbi, a very hot rabbi. Naomi, when she first meets him, thinks that he must be some sort of model or like a B-list actor or something because he's just absolutely so hot. And she is shocked to find out that he is a religious leader. And Naomi is a former porn star. She is now co-CEO to Shameless, which is a website, a subscription service that is basically like an education site. Education into self-pleasure, into sexual exploration with your partner and stuff. And I really like the message that Shameless sends. And it was started in The Roommate, which was not my favorite book. I did not like The Roommate. So I had kind of, I wouldn't say low expectations going into Intimacy Experiment whenever I got this arc, but the only reason why I decided to pick up the Intimacy Experiment is because Naomi was such a badass character in The Roommate that I was like, okay, I'm willing to read her story. I'd like to see her get an HEA, and oh my god, this book just blew The Roommate out of the water. I was just like, they're not even on the same level. This is absolutely amazing. She's a prickly heroine that I completely understood. Sometimes prickly heroines, I get annoyed with how insistent they are on not being vulnerable, but every time that Naomi put her walls back up, I completely understood. I completely understood why she would be doing that. And it was just beautiful. I highlighted the hell out of my ebook copy of this when I was rereading it because of just like that line, wow, it's amazing, amazing. This relationship is beautiful. And it's almost like a friends to lovers. It's like co-workers because Naomi decides to take Ethan's offer up to teach like this intimacy seminar for his synagogue. And Naomi also reconnects with her religion, with Reform Judaism. She kind of grew up not super religious and she decides to kind of reconnect. And I just really liked that journey. And it was just, I love this book so much. So 5+ stars. It's going on all the lists. Just want to let you guys know. All right, guys, that wraps up the first week in May, and you should be seeing some more videos from me, and not just the weekly wrap-ups now. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed to my channel, make sure you subscribe to get notified in any future videos that I do. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, life's better with little HEA. Bye, guys.